we will move on now to the Edward Weisband Award, which recognizes one alum each year whose life, work, career, and contributions exemplify the highest standards of service and deepest dedication to the sustenance of the common good. This year, our recipient is Michael Weingarten, class of 70, a vascular surgeon, professor of surgery at Drexel University College of Medicine. Here to deliver a few remarks about Michael is Phyllis Lucci, Development Officer for Harper College, who nominated Michael for this award. Phyllis? I can't see it. As you know, I can't see it.
Good evening, everyone. You know, as a development officer, and I think my fellow development officers would agree, we have a unique and distinct opportunity to meet so many caring, generous, creative, and accomplished alumni. But every so often, we encounter an individual whose philanthropy is just an integral part of their life. It is a fiber of their being. And Dr. Weingarten is no exception. Through the loving support of his wife, Dr. Carol Tucci Weingarten, he is an example of someone who gives from the soul because it feeds his heart. Throughout his life and throughout his career, Dr. Weingarten has volunteered in a variety of different ways. He has served his country during the wars of Iraq and Afghanistan as part of the U.S. military Combat Casualty Program, to say that 3 times fast. He completed a 2-week surgical mission in 2010 after the devastating earthquake in Haiti. And most recently, he has mentored Harper College and Harper Edge students when it comes to finding out about different career options within the medical profession. But he also has a day job, and that is as professor of surgery and assistant dean to the Medical Scholars Tracks program at Drexel University's College of Medicine. His accomplishments are many and varied, and that is why it is with great pleasure that we present Dr. Weingarten with the Edward Weisband Distinguished Alumnus Award for Public Service.
Hello, my name is Xiaoshun Li, and I am the current recipient of Dr. Weingarten's Scholarship Award here at Binghamton University. I am a current sophomore student studying biology at the university. Through receiving this award, it has opened up many opportunities for me during the academic school years. It has freed me from having to pick up a part-time job, which will take away from my academic studying and other interests. But because of this scholarship award, I am able to partake in various interests outside of having to find another economic income. I am currently part of a research lab here at the university, as well as part of various other clubs, such as Club Team Sunrise, where we raise funds for children's camps, and other pre-health clubs. Through this scholarship, I hope that I will be able to continue my studying and eventually get into med school and hopefully become a doctor in the future. So once again, I would like to just thank Dr. Weingarten for this scholarship and congratulate him on his award.
Sorry, I can't see out there.
There's a thing.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Ms. Liucci for this nomination, and I'd like to thank the committee for this prestigious award. When I arrived at SUNY Binghamton, back then it was Harper, by the way, I had a suitcase and a portable typewriter, and I never would have dreamed, times have changed, I never would have imagined that I would be up here receiving this award. and how this Harper at SUNY Binghamton would change my life. My first remembrance of SUNY Binghamton Harper was on my tour before I started. There was plywood everywhere, construction, everything. There were no sidewalks. And I knew that I could build a career there as well, just something that struck me right away. My very first day at Harper, I also remember, I was dropped off in the parking lot in the old Bingham Hall, and I remember, thank you, and I remember walking in thinking, I have to make it here. I was the first in my family to go to a four-year college. I knew I wanted to go to med school when I entered Harper, and I knew that that was plan A. I had to get into med school somehow. There was no plan B. And over the next 4 years, and to really, our president really summed it up very nicely, SUNY Binghamton really provided me with the education and the skills I needed to succeed. It really taught me how to deal with a very heavy course load, but more importantly still, I was able to figure out how to find a place for myself in the college community. Nowadays, we call this a life-work balance. Those are the new fancy terms. Back then, we didn't have that term. And I really learned about myself. SUNY Binghamton also taught me about mentoring. I was a biology major, but being pre-med, I had to take chemistry. So I got through general chemistry and the gauntlet of organic chemistry, for those who remember those days. And for reasons that I never, still to this day, don't understand, signed up for analytic chemistry. It was just one of the toughest courses given in the university by one of the toughest professors, Dr. Gilbert E. Janauer. The course and Dr. Janauer lived up to their reputation. They were tough. I got through it, and I wound up doing research with Dr. Janauer over the next 2 years, and we truly bonded together. We wound up really being good friends. He was also a mentor to me because he showed me what a work ethic was. I used to study in the fine arts building in empty classrooms until about midnight or 1 a.m. I never pulled an all-nighter. And I'd walk back to Whitney Hall, and I'd look back, and the science building was up on the horizon. And on the 7th floor corner, his office light was almost always on. And it was not because he forgot to turn it off. He was working. And I figured if he can work that hard, so can I. We became good friends afterwards. He came to my wedding, and we are still in touch with his widow. I did get on to med school. Med school is best described, when I think about it, as SUNY Binghamton on steroids. That was the curriculum. And again, I think what the skills that I learned at SUNY Binghamton got me through this. I also met the most incredible woman in the world at SUNY, and when I was in med school. And she changed my life, and I changed hers. We went out about 6 weeks and got engaged. Her parents are probably very upset and astonished, as would be. I have a daughter, and I'd say, really? And that was 48 years ago, so we're still chugging along together. Carol, would you mind standing up? I then went on to do a surgical residency right here in Manhattan at NYU Bellevue. It was a different era back then. We were on every other night for 5 years. 120-hour work week was pretty much the standard. And then a vascular fellowship at Henry Ford in Detroit, same sort of a training program. And again, if you look back at my college and all the things that I had to learn to get to where I was, it really made a difference in terms of getting me there. I've spent most of my career in safety net hospitals. Bellevue was clearly an example of that. And in Philly, Hahnemann Hospital, for those who know the city, was a safety net hospital, which unfortunately closed about 2 years ago. Probably the highlight of my career was working in Haiti after the earthquake, the first earthquake, not the second one, where I saw a totally different type of medicine and a totally different culture. And what really impacted my life was working with the military as a civilian volunteer in the Combat Casualty Program, taking care of wounded troops, medevac from Afghanistan and Iraq to Germany to Landstuhl Regional Medical Center. Carol and I went 2 weeks every year for 6 years. I think I learned more there than I gave. I just walked away knowing so much more and saw probably the best healthcare that I've ever seen being given. I also learned, though, that you don't have to get your passport stamped to be a participant in helping others. This pandemic has brought out the profound inequities in healthcare access in our inner city area and in rural areas, and the bad outcomes. And so there's a lot we can do in this country to deliver better health care. So again, I want to thank the committee for this award and for SUNY Binghamton for giving me the tools not only to succeed academically, but to really develop the self-confidence and grit. Grit, by the way, is an educational term, which we also use for surgery now, to succeed as a surgeon and use my training to help others. Thank you again.